there's non-infectious cause can lead to respiratory problem. But the objective is the same, is that we want to achieve the wider objective of feeding the world, the increasing demand of animal proteins to feed the growing populations. So the key word here is how we improve the productivity. Poultry industry has gone through a lot of changes and we have achieved a lot in the past 40 years. And it's really amazing that we have achieved a lot in terms of how we grow the chickens. And what we focus now today is with the limiting of resources like land, feed, and labor, we have to improve our way of doing things. And we should focus on how to produce more with less resources. And meaning to say that we want to grow our chickens in a shorter time to reach the market edge. We want to enable our chicken to convert feed into more kilograms of meat. And we also want to enable us to produce more kilograms of meat with the per square meter. So that is our objective. The poultry industry challenge is how we improve our productivities. I don't know whether you can see this small information there. If you look at our industry, in 1965, we're producing 1.6 kg broilers. We need 63 days. And the mortality, the best performance is 6%. Today, we produce chickens at 2.4 kg in less than 42 days. So that is a lot of improvements, but I believe there's a lot of room for us to improve further. The poultry industry is keeping changing. The point here is, as the previous speaker have mentioned, the most important part is poultry will be the #1 animal proteins to feed the growing populations. It's the cheapest source of proteins, so we have a lot of opportunity there, and we have to work to achieve this by improving our genetic performance, by providing a better housing environments to enable them to achieve the genetic performance, by producing in a better and controlled environments to achieve shorter, enable us to grow the chickens to a bigger body weight at a shorter date. So this is the objective we want to achieve. Of course, we're facing a lot of challenge. There's a lot of negative drivers that prevent us to achieve these objectives. One of that is feed cost, limitation of feeds, the feed quality, but also disease or other related problems. In a recent survey, we asked our customer, what is the negative driver in their production that impact their productivities? The answer clearly from the audience, 72% of them say respiratory disease. So we understand respiratory disease or respiratory related problems is the key negative drivers that impacting our poultry productions. We need to focus on that, how we can identify the related problem and how we can improve accordingly. Well, as I mentioned in my beginning of my presentations, I believe when we talk about respiratory problems, a lot of people tend to think it as an infectious disease. But we have also to look at the non-infectious causes that lead to respiratory problems. Among others, such as the environments, the housings, the air quality such as ammonia gas, the carbon dioxide that may negatively impact our broiler or chicken performance. Our management, the stocking density, how we brood, how we incubate, and how we store our eggs, that can influence also the performance related to respiratory problems. So a co-infections of two important viruses is possible, and how we can better manage them will impact will determine how effective is our control program. You can see here, 25 ppm versus 50 ppm of ammonia gas, you will lose 0.3 pound per boiler. So look at your production, how much loss of body weight you can experience. Also, there's report even with the low level of ammonia can negatively impact your respiratory system, damage your cilia, that open up for other pathogens. So it is important for us to maintain the air quality besides controlling infectious disease. I think the previous speaker have clearly laid out a very good information about how we can improve further in terms of our productivities. We shouldn't look only at the farms level. Yes, we can improve by reducing the mortality related to respiratory problems. We can improve the body weight, but we also need to focus in the slaughterhouse. A chicken come into the slaughterhouse, we have to make sure that we will be able to sell to our consumer. A carcass quality is very important here. So you can look at the industry data in US. Besides focusing on reducing the mortality as well as achieving the body weight, they also look at the contamination rate. Contamination rate in the slaughterhouse can be related to many problems. It can be due to skin, as just now the previous speaker showed you different kind of carcass problems. But it can also relate to respiratory. And for example, if the respiratory problem is related to IB, such as because you do not have a good control of IB, or because of outbreak of IB challenge, if you calculate the contamination rate, put it at a small percentage, 0.1%, in a 3 million broiler per week operation, you can lose 300 over $1,000 US per year. So this is a kind of economies impact that you need to think of, where we can improve, where we can achieve better. Now, let me give you some thoughts on how we think we can improve the control of respiratory associated problems. I believe one of the better thing is we have a good diagnosis or monitoring system in place. As I say, there is non-infectious cause and infectious cause. We have to ensure us diagnose correctly and apply the correct control measure. If it's a non-infectious cause, if we use using the infectious way, then you will not achieve your objective of better control of respiratory problem. So good diagnosis system and early recognition of disease is critical for us to get a better control. Of course, nothing is more important than biosecurity and the environments where we provide to the chickens. And when we talk about better program, when I mean is prevention program. We understand prevention is always better than control. Of course, use of antibiotics, potential use of antibiotics is also good tools in managing problems associated with respiratory. And again, management is the key point also for us to improve our control of respiratory problem. Well, today we have many new technologies that can enable us to diagnose disease. We are excited with PCR technology. There's many PCR technology available. We have real-time PCR. We have PCR that allow us to sequence, to understand what kind of virus or genotype of virus or even bacteria, then to protect each other. And this is demonstrated with this. The epitope will be blocked with the antibody. So the antibody produced by the serotype A vaccine protect against or block against the field virus. And this is what we call homologous protection. So now, if you vaccinate with serotype A, Massachusetts, but you challenge with another serotype, say Connecticut of another vaccine, another virus, this antibody may not be able to attach to the epitope of the virus B because they are not homologous. But they still attach to the spike at different locations. So whether they can block or neutralize the virus, it depends. So the attachment may be not strong enough, so the protection or cross-protection may not be good enough. So you can sometimes see if your field virus is variant strain and using Massachusetts, you are not getting a good result. That can be explained. The protections for IB especially, or any other respiratory disease, is the most important part is the mucosal immunity, the local immunity, which is the one that prevents the attachment of the virus into the cilia or the respiratory system. So my illustrations saying the neutralization is basically is the mucosal immunity. Okay, so that is the important part. And then the cellular immunity, like cell-mediated immunity, is important in the recovery of the birds from the damage after the virus left. And a humoral antibody plays certain part, especially for IB, especially for the long-lived birds. Okay, so first part basically is the mucosal immunity. Okay, to answer your first question, yes, as I say, the virus, especially in IB, is changing. Every second maybe. Despite a little bit change, that may alter the whole things. So what we realize that is we cannot cope up with producing every new virus, a vaccine for every new strain or new variants. What we do is we want the bird to tell us whether the current vaccine are able to protect against the new challenge. So what we do is we choose the vaccine. At the moment, we understand that the MF5, which is our vaccine, and the 491 give very good cross protection. So once we have this vaccine, we challenge with the new virus to see how they are protected in the cilia, in the trachea, as well as in the reproductive tract. So that way we decide whether they are good protection or not. If not, then we have to decide whether we have to develop a new vaccine. Okay? So that is the concept behind that.